Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
And we begin with the Russian attack on Ukraine. Russian troops pouring across the borders, Ukrainians standing strong and so far keeping a hold on their capital. Glad you're with us today at 5. We've got a number of new developments to report as the situation keeps evolving by almost a minute.
Yeah, let's go through some of the major headlines. Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signed a document asking to immediately join the European Union. Also today, FIFA suspended Russia from competing in the World Cup. Russian club teams were also banned from playing in European competitions.
Add to that, talks between Russia and Ukraine broke off with no breakthroughs. Alice Barr begins our coverage tonight from Washington. Good evening, Alice.
Good evening. As global tensions escalate over the war in Ukraine and Russia's president references his nuclear arsenal, President Biden today insisting Americans do not need to worry about nuclear war. Today in the Ukraine crisis, destruction and diplomacy. Ukrainian officials pushing for a ceasefire in talks with a Russian delegation, though making little headway today. Here in Washington, President Biden speaking with top allies and his national security team. That after rolling out tougher sanctions against Russia's central bank, the latest in a global economic assault that sent the Russian economy reeling, its currency collapsing. Germany joining other Western nations sending weapons to help Ukraine. As Moscow is increasingly cut off from the rest of the world, concerns are growing over how President Vladimir Putin will react.
You don't want a madman backed into a corner with nothing to lose, especially if that madman has nuclear weapons.
Already, Putin has put his country's nuclear deterrent forces on high alert. President Biden refusing to respond in kind. The United Nations General Assembly holding its first emergency meeting in decades to condemn the Russian aggression and seek peace.
If Ukraine does not survive, we cannot be surprised if democracy fails next.
Civilian casualties are mounting, with reports of massive Russian shelling and Russian troops advancing toward the capital. Ukrainian forces defying expectations, holding their ground.
They have made it very difficult for the Russians to continue to move ahead.
Across the world, an outpouring of support. Americans gathering supplies for donations, pouring Russian vodka down the drain, standing and marching with the people of Ukraine. Here on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are considering a Biden administration request to send roughly $6.5 billion in military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, Local 4.
All right, Alice. Also today, the U.S. announced it is expelling 12 Russian diplomats at the United Nations for what it's calling undiplomatic activities. Ahead tonight on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, a really important component of all this, a look at the war on disinformation online surrounding what's happening in Ukraine. A closer look at what Facebook and Twitter are doing to try to address it before it spreads. That's at 6:30, right after Local 4 News at 6. Our other top story at this hour, the assistant principal at Ecorse High School facing criminal sexual conduct charges involving a child.
45-year-old Melvin Conway was arrested this morning and arraigned this afternoon on one count of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Grant Herms is live tonight. So, Grant, what did the judge decide on bond here?
Well, the bond is relatively low, just $75,000. He'll also have to be confined to home arrest and wear a GPS tracker that will let him go back to work at the school.
In court today, Ecorse High School assistant principal Melvin Conway, the 45-year-old arrested by Detroit police and the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. A Sheriff's Office spokesperson telling Local 4 Conway is accused of sexual misconduct in a case involving his daughter, and that the alleged incident appeared to happen 8 years ago. According to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, the girl was just 10 years old at the time of the incident and reported it last spring.
Well, we see this quite often. It looks like at some point the victim shared this information with someone else who took the initiative to report the incident.
The judge today setting Conway's bond at $75,000 along with house arrest with a GPS monitor so he can still go to work at the school. As of this afternoon, Conway was still listed as employed by the district. Local 4 asked for a comment today but did not get one back. Conway is charged with criminal sexual conduct, which in Michigan carries a maximum penalty of life in prison.
Conway also has 2 other children who he will not be able to see as this case plays out. His next court date is March 10th. Kimberly?
Yeah, so Grant, do police have a sense of whether this was a single incident or not?
Right now, they're saying that they're pretty sure this is just one incident. Now, I also asked them why it took so long. You know, that first initial report came last spring, and now we're just hearing about this now. They said these cases can take a long time, especially when you're dealing with something this difficult.
Yeah,
back to you.
Is. Okay. Grant, thanks.
Now some bad news for the gas pump. Prices have now hit their highest mark of the year, and it's showing no signs of letting up. Gas prices in Michigan up 18 cents a gallon compared to just last week. So Michigan drivers now paying an average of $3.55 for a gallon of regular unleaded. That price 79 cents higher than this time a year ago. So as it stands right now, it's going to cost an average of $53 for a full 15-gallon tank. Beautiful start to the day, but we have had some clouds move in later on.
We have. Let's get over to Andrew for a look at what we've got for the rest of our Monday. Hi, Andrew.
Hey there, Kimberly and Devin. And switching gears, there is some good news. We're saying goodbye to February. This is the last day of the month. And we're saying hello to March, and it will feel more like March tomorrow. That being said, still chilly out there now. A few snowflakes in our midst also. Very far to the north of I-69, but that is all that's being captured right now with Storm Tracker 4, and that's all that's around. We're looking at dry conditions as we go through the evening as temperatures slip from around freezing, 30 degrees next hour, into the 20s just before midnight. But winds generally are coming out of the south, so these temperatures start rising shortly after midnight, and they rise even higher tomorrow than they will today. We'll talk about how high those temperatures rise. Again, it remains dry for all of your evening activities and plans. That's some good news. We'll talk about how high those temperatures rise for the 1st of March and whether there are any more snowflakes or raindrops out there to worry about in your 7-day forecast.
All right, Andrew, in school districts all over Metro Detroit, students are doing something that hasn't been done in close to 2 years.
Students in Washtenaw and Oakland counties are going to class without having to wear a mask. Victor Williams is live tonight with the big change for students. And Victor, this is now a personal decision.
Yes, that's right. A personal decision, a very big day for parents, students and teachers, and everyone is reacting in their own way.
So if you want to wear a mask, just put on the mask on face. But if you don't want to, it's optional, so it's totally up to you.
As more and more counties adhere to the new CDC recommendations, Judy Seabury is one guardian still on the fence on if she wants her grandchild to follow through.
I think they should still be wearing masks.
Districts in Oakland and Washtenaw counties are the 2 newest systems that no longer have to mask up. Novi School Superintendent Dr. Steve Matthews says their district made the change to mask optional about a week ago.
So far, we've been very pleased with how it's gone. I walk through a school and I'll see students with masks, staff with masks. I'll see students without masks and students with masks. And so right now we think it's going very well.
Similar story in Wayne County, where Dearborn Schools Superintendent Dr. Glenn Maleko says students have had the option to go maskless now for several days.
I would say right now I see about 50-50. Depending on what school you're in. Just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable that if you choose to wear it, it's fine. And if you choose not to wear it, it's also, acceptable within our current guidelines. Our COVID numbers are very low right now, so we feel good about it.
Either way, Ruthie Miller wants her student to stay as safe as possible.
It's a personal choice. People shouldn't be fearful of something that's new.
And students no longer have to mask up on the school bus, but we know that virtual schools are still going to be in place as this change happens. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Victor, before you go, I know DPSCD, of course, the biggest district in the state, and we've got some news on its mask requirement, too.
Yes, that's right. Because of lower vaccination rates in the city of Detroit, DPSCD is deciding to wait till either mid-March or mid-April to make mask wearing optional.
Yeah. And we will be following it, Victor. Thanks.
Now to coronavirus numbers from over the weekend. We've got another dramatic drop. The state reporting 1,860 cases over the weekend, so the daily average 620 cases a day, well below the 1,000 mark. 26 more deaths, though, also being reported over that same 3-day period.
And the 7-day moving average shows just how far we've come over the past 3 Mondays. Back on the 14th, we were averaging 2,600 cases per day. Now that average is just above the 1,000 mark.
Today, Governor Whitmer made official what many have known was coming. She is running for re-election. In a tweet, Whitmer says she's ready to run as she claims her opponents are pouring in millions of dollars to unseat her. There are 253 days until the election coming up on November 8th.